Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. Now it's real time, sponsored by the Mill Casino.
Yeah, it's real time. Real time for Mr. Bill Herzog, metal god himself. How you doing, man?
Any better, I couldn't stand it.
And I know that I mentioned before we just, went out to this past break, you got to come down a long ways to come share some info with us, and we really love you for that. And you got to figure out how to get yourself back home.
I got a great four-wheel drive and big tires, so I'm okay.
All right. Les Schwab probably set him up. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was an easy plug for me.
Actually, it is true. It is true. We call it Les Schwab.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a total shot in the dark, everyone. I could have blown that in a second. All right. So I've been lucky enough to interview you here on GPS for a very long time. I don't even know how long. We've talked spoons before in the past.
Right.
We've talked trout fishing with your own custom-made jigs. We've talked plug fishing. We've talked about a ton of different things each year. Spoons, and we'll get a shot with that Kershaw Tech Cam. Spoons are something that you are very, very well known for.
Sure.
We actually spent some time yesterday throwing them because we were just getting frustrated. And I kind of mentioned earlier kind of the setup here was some of the things that you've mentioned in the past about being able to get a steelhead, force feed them, right?
Sure.
Give them something that they haven't seen because everybody's like me and just playing the dummy game and throwing a bobber and a bead 99% of the time these days. Throwing them something different can change that up. We've never talked about spinners, but let's kind of start out with your spoons and move over to spinners about these late season steelhead on how you might think to force them to bite.
Well, it's
or at least something along those lines.
It's not really forcing them. It's giving them something different. We call it the novel alternative.
Sure.
Right? And like you're talking about, how many people do you know, what do they start with during the day in this day and age?
A bead and a bobber.
Okay. Now, after you've seen a busy day, and the water's kind of clear, and they've had, let's say, 15, 20 boats go by. Say one of those fish has been stung or they've been moved by them. They're used to these things going by and going by. All of a sudden, something completely different, like a plug or a spoon.
Sure.
Boom.
Right.
Wow, how did that happen? It's just because it's something different, nothing more.
Right.
Sometimes you got to switch it up to get fish, and that's why I don't carry just spoons or spinners in my box. I have, like you said, I have jigs, I have plugs, and bait were legal, always, and something a little bit different, always, to keep them off balance.
Sure, something that they just haven't seen, I think is your perfect point.
Right.
And there's no question, it doesn't matter what river system it is, they're going to see a bead of some kind pretty much every few minutes. It seems like if they're in a likely spot, somebody's either dragging one by them, they're chandeliering one by them, and they get maybe not spooky, but do you think that they just decide, all right, I'm just not going to eat these things. I'm seeing too many of them. I've been freaked out. I'm just not going to do it.
All right. Well, that probably. Maybe a little bit of both. They're not talking. We don't know. So we got to guess. Right?
I like that.
But one thing happens this time of year, nice little segue we're going to go into here. We start, not now, it's raining like hell out in my place and out here, but
here too.
Water starts to get clearer and lower this time of year as you're getting into April, right?
Sure.
So what happens before snow melt, we got all this clear water, but still we have a lot of fish, okay? I dive into my summer run box, okay? I want something that I think about summer runs, the water's a little warmer. It's a little clearer. I don't want bright silver plate. I don't want something going boom, boom, flash, bang. All of a sudden they're streaking out of the tail out.
Sure.
No. I want to give them what we call the attraction threshold. Okay. I want to excite them, but I don't want to spook them. I want to bring them to that edge, right?
Right.
Ooh, very exciting.
Sure.
So what you see here, right in front of you, is a lot of subtle colors: dull brass, dull copper, black. And black, by the way, is my #1 color. I know that's weird. You hardly ever see that. But in the trout world, yes, steelhead, guess what? They're trout. So what do? Let's bring black to the warmer, clearer river and see what happens. And trust me, you'll be quite happy if you do.
I love the idea of throwing, again, something a little bit different. And he already threw me a little bit of a curveball because all the spinners that you brought in are size 5s. Now, not everyone, but a lot are going to go, man, that sure seems like a big spinner. Why do you like the size 5 blades when you're talking about a spinner, either it be for summer runs when in those conditions or now in late winter steelhead conditions?
Well, a steelhead doesn't know how big he is.
True.
How many times on a bead have you got a 7-inch smolt with a 20-millimeter bead stuck in his mouth?
It happens all the time.
Okay, when they get bigger, they don't know how big they are. All they know is they see movement and flash, okay? They're not going to jam up to a #3 and then going to take it because it's smaller. All they see is flash and presence, right? So if they see a 5, they don't know how big it is. They just see it. Okay, we try to do this overthink what we do. Okay, if they're going to take a 3, they're going to take a 4, they're going to take a 5. Doesn't matter. I like it because I can feel the thump. I can throw them further. I can work them deeper, and it just I can fish them way more effective than I can something small.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So you're able to present it the right way, put it where the fish are, and you have more control.
Ding ding.
Okay, so. Makes perfect sense. My box is all 4s. I'm going to include some 5s.
That's fine.
No. Listen, I'm listening to you. We all need to pay attention to what he's saying. Okay. You mentioned black, right?
Yes.
You've got a number of different manufacturers out there, from Blue Fox to some customs. You've got the doled out copper here, where you're adding some interesting color. Dark purples in these spoons. You can see here old school Steelies in blue, which, by the way, I mean, there's something about those.
Love them.
Really. And you also have the back of, say, this copper one here, blacked out as well, to kind of dull it up a little bit.
A lot of these have that, what you just talked about. There's a lot of black backs on these. You still want a little bit of flash sometime, like in the early morning when the water's clear and it's warm, but you don't want a lot. So I'm just giving them a little dull brass. I'm giving them just a little, maybe I'm giving them a little copper. You know, I'll give them something just enough. But I want that black there also, because everything that they've eaten since they've been that big have black in them. We're talking any kind of bugs, anything in the ocean, anything, a lot of black.
Sure.
They're eating that stuff.
Sure.
So I give them black no matter what. So I try to incorporate some black in everything if I can, if not the entire spoon sometimes, like this black nickel, spectacular. If you can see the photos they've been showing, we've been putting up right there, with all these fish with all these, just this pure black spoon in their mouth. And you think, wow, I never ever thought of using black.
Sure.
Again, you're using something totally different that no one else is using.
Sure.
And I love going behind people with the weird stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. You're like, you get on some systems where there's boat after boat after boat.
Sure.
You like following him. You like playing cleanup with something that nobody else is throwing. There's a reason why he's going to like that, everyone. It's not because he's just throwing for practice. He's able to get those fish to go that aren't going for everyone else. Okay, we got to cut to a break. When we come back, we're going to have our Chevy Silverado Tech Tip of the Week.
Okay.
And this is pretty simple. You're going to go, well, okay. We'll find out how Bill likes to darken these things up a little bit. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Chevy Silverado and the impressive Turbo Max engine. Flex your muscle with the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. Official truck of Outdoor GPS.